Thank you. Mr. Pocan?
Yep. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Commissioner. So how much was it again to create the direct file system?
It was 26.4 million of IRS funds.
26?
24.6.
24.6, okay. And do you know how much is made by the tax preparation industry annually?
I don't have that number, but I know it's in the billions.
I looked up one company, Intuit, 14.3 billion. They had a 13% increase. H&R, 35 billion. It's big money. Their lobbying alone was $93 million, which is almost 4 times what it cost completely to create the direct file system. That would save taxpayers an enormous amount of money if more people would have access to direct file. Isn't that correct?
It could, and we want free file to expand. We think one of the things about the free file program is not enough people are taking advantage of it. And this past filing season, we saw an 11% increase in free file. Some of it direct file, some of it free file with the software providers. We're happy about that.
And what can we do to do that? Because I know one stat, and I've heard a couple today, so I'm not sure if this is correct, but 70% of people would qualify for the direct file, but like 3% use. What can we do to get more people to be able to have that information?
You know, it's just like when we were talking earlier about people getting scammed by too good to be true advertising. We have to do more outreach, and we plan on doing a lot more outreach. And one of the questions earlier was, are you getting more efficient? And we are. What do we want to do with new capacity? There's more help that's needed in underserved populations. We had 7 million taxpayers last year eligible for EITC that didn't claim it. We need to close that gap. And in working in underserved and distressed communities, we can share more information about tax scams, what to be on the lookout for, and what are free options for you to file. And we want them to have choice. We want them to be educated to know, well, I can file for free with the IRS direct, or I can use a commercial software. Let me try both and see what works for me. The idea around direct file is really another option with the overall objective of serving people that can't afford an accountant and need more help.
And we require people to pay taxes, so the fact that we would provide something for them to do that only makes complete sense to me. And to that, you talked about the money that doesn't get to low-income families. I think $12 billion in tax credits they think are left on the table. Is there a way to auto-file some of that information with this system so that when people, if they do direct file, some of that could be included since you receive it electronically?
There is a lot of study that we need to do to understand the future of tax filing. Right now, where we stand today, it is up to you to enter your information, and you are the final arbiter of what your tax return is. There are other countries, other nations that do it very different. They present, you're still the final arbiter, but they present to you a completed tax return, and you thumbs up and thumbs down. Whether the U.S. goes in that direction, I think it's a valuable conversation to have. My commitment is to be transparent so that if we're going to move in a direction where we're providing more information to the taxpayer to react to versus them putting it in themselves, I'm going to share that information publicly before we go forward.
Are you looking at maybe doing that with part of this pilot?
I think we should have conversations with stakeholders. If we move forward with direct file next filing season, what should we adjust to further reduce taxpayer stress? What should and what can we learn from that?
Yeah. Also, on the private companies, there was all the information about data got shared with Meta, which I don't think, here we are, multiple bills to fight TikTok and other companies who are doing things with privacy and data, and we see this industry sharing data in a very disturbing way. We don't share data with anyone, do we?
We don't, and this is what's interesting about taxpayers. They have different preferences, right? And different experiences. One of the notable things that we learned in the direct file pilot was more than 85% of taxpayers that use direct file said it increased their trust of the IRS. There are taxpayers out there who are not going to want to use direct file, who have a different trust relationship with us, and they can use commercial software. The issue is taxpayer choice.
Yeah, and I guess I would just end with, we would love to have that taxpayer choice in Wisconsin. So if you are looking at expanding, I noticed the only Midwestern state you had is South Dakota, which is a relatively small sample. Upper Midwest would certainly love to be included, or at least Wisconsin. I'll speak for Wisconsin. And if you could do that, we would really appreciate it, because I'd love to save my constituents money. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yield back.